Okay, so let's talk about getting fired. Lots of people get fired. Lots of good people get fired. It happens. I've been fired. I'm trying to think if everybody I know has been fired. Just about. It happens. It's not the end of the world. What is tricky is on the job application you have to answer, have you ever been fired from a job? Yes or no. That question sucks. Because there's your dilemma. What do you say? If you say yes, well, are they going to call you? Probably not. And if you say no, and then they find out later that you did get fired, then you can be fired for lying on your application. So it's a sticky wicket. If that happens to you, that there's a job application with that question and you've been fired, what I would recommend is to not fill that application out unless it's in front of the person you're going to give it to. And then you can tell them, you know, I got fired from a job. It was really unethical what they did to me. And it's really hard because I don't want it to be held against me. And you know what they'll say? Oh, that's okay, it happens to everyone. Because now you've been there with your face and your person and your energy, and it's a much different thing when you're talking than when you're, you know, giving it to some unknown person who doesn't care about you. They don't know how nice you are. They don't know how polite you've been. All of those things, right? So if that question comes up and you've been fired, just try and make sure that you can be talking to that person in person. Make sense? Or that you're referred into the company. That helps too. When you get fired, and we'll talk about this again at the end with transitioning, when you get fired, there's a way to get fired that will help you, and there's a way to get fired that will hurt you. Can we think of ways to get fired, things that we can do that will hurt us as we leave? Say it again? Not helpful. What else?
Giving attitude.
Attitude. What else? That's a big one. What else? Fighting. Seems obvious.
Knocking down merchandise.
Destruction of property, vandalism, right? Who can help me spell it? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. What else is not helpful? Talking to other employees there. The people who are still there?
Oh, what?
Gossiping.
Oh.
Big no-no. When you're trying to get a job, when you have a job, after you leave a job, just try not to do that. And I'll tell you what, when you get a job, the first person who tries to gossip to you, the first person who comes up and says, "Hi, you're the new guy? Yeah, look out for Daisy. She steals and she's really bossy, and you just let me know if you need any help with Daisy." The person who does that, just smile, "Thank you," and don't engage that person, because that person will take you down. That person is the problem child, and once you've worked at that company for 2 months, you'll probably see it before then. Within 4 weeks, you'll see that that person just creates problems, right? This happens at school too, right? There's problem people. They just like problems, and they like to cause drama. Gossiping equals drama. Work is not a place for drama. Work is a place for work, right? So what else is not helpful? Anything?
Arguing with customers? Or whatever?
Yeah, arguing with anyone.
Relationship?
What do you mean?
Like if you're seeing somebody and you're drunk?
Oh, dating someone at work?
Yeah.
You know, it can be done well. So a lot of companies don't have a policy against it because it's hard to tell grown-ups what to do and how and why. But you learn to try and be discreet and don't let it affect your job and on like that. But this is when you get fired. And you're not going to establish a relationship upon getting fired. So you get the news that you're fired. Lisa, you're fired. We don't like you anymore and you have to go. Oh, here's my big chance. I have a big choice to make, right? And that word is going to come up a lot. We always have a choice. Always, always, always. The ball is always in our court. It's always our turn to make the right decision. So my choice is I can do these, right? I can do one of these things, or I can do something over here. Arguing, I'm going to star that because that's a big one. Because what happens, most people when they get fired, what did I do? She does it all the time. I don't understand. This is not fair. I come here every day, I work really hard, I work harder than him, and you are just discriminating against me because, and I don't like you anyways. Or, I'm sorry it didn't work out. Zip it. That's it. I'm so sorry it didn't work out. Who cares? What have you lost? Nothing. But I'll tell you what, when you get fired, you can leave like this. Slam the door. Blah. You've offended me. Or you can leave like this. Okay, that's done. Everything's okay. I'm leaving no mess. I'll see you guys around the way. All right, take care. Guess who's shocked? Guess whose jaw is dropped? Guess who's wondering if they made a bad decision? The employer. And that's how you want to leave them. You want to leave them crying, regretting what they did, not giving them more fuel for whatever they think they're basing this decision off of, even if they're right. Which, of course, they're not. But they could be. But you just want to leave with your head held high, and you want to kill them with kindness, because you never know. That's going to come up again and again, too. Here's a for instance. I worked for a company. I was a receptionist. My job was receptionist. Answer the phone, and every day loans would come in, and I would have to keep track of them somehow. And just write a note. Okay, this came in, this came in, this came in. My job was very basic, right? But I did my job, and I did it, and I smiled, and I came to work every day, and blah, blah, blah. And there were a couple people in the office who I didn't know very well. There were only 10 of us there at all. I worked there for 3 months. It was a bank mortgage company called a wholesale lender, so mortgage brokers would come and visit, whatever. They closed the office 3 months after I started. The bank said, we're not doing this anymore, and they just said, we're done. One day we walked in, and we didn't have jobs. And this is how they announced it. All right, everybody, the bank has decided to close our office. So everybody's last day is today, except for Lisa and Odessa. Nice. So now who hates me? Everybody, because they think I knew. I had no idea. Lisa and Odessa are going to stay for 2 weeks to clean up the office and close it down. And I was just like, all right, I don't know how I feel about that. Thanks for asking. No one asked me if I wanted to do that, but I guess they assumed that since I was getting laid off, I would want the money. So I left feeling like that job didn't matter at all. I couldn't remember the names of the people who worked in that office. The only reason I remember Odessa's name is because it sticks in my head from that meeting. I don't remember her. But a full year later, my phone rang, and it was an underwriter who I didn't even think liked me. I didn't think she hated me, but I certainly never thought she cared about me at all. Hey, Toots, what you doing? I'm like, well, I'm working for another kind of bank, doing auto loans. She's like, well, I remember you were good with the computer, and I want you to come work for me at this new office. Got a raise, And ultimately I got a career out of that because it ended up as a recruiting firm. And that's how I discovered recruiting. And that's how I became a recruiter on down the line. But it came from that one lady, right? Now had I pitched a fit in that meeting and said, this is crap, you didn't even ask me, and blah, I could have done any number of things, right? You can all imagine it from any show on television, the things that I could have said or done. But I didn't. And it wound up paying off from someone I never counted as important. So you never know who's watching and who's important. It could be that the person, Daisy, that fired you, it could be that the person, it could be the janitor who remembered you and says something to someone, and on down the line it will come back. You never know. So, helpful, apologize. I'm so sorry it didn't work out. Make sure that your stuff is clean and done, right? So wrap up loose ends. Be proactive. Say things like, is there anything you'd like me to do before I go? Would you like me to finish my shift? Would you like me to finish the pay period? What would you like me to do? How would you like me to wrap this up? If you say that, they're just going to be dumbfounded. And that's the whole idea. You want them to feel awkward. You know what's going on. You're being fired. Now it's time for them to explain the parameters of that. And when I did this, when I got fired from one job in particular, I mean, my manager could see that I had a lot up in the air. I was a recruiter, and so I had a lot of candidates who were waiting for me to get them jobs, and hiring managers who were waiting for me to fill those jobs. And she could tell I was just like, I got 13 deals waiting. I don't have time to finish them, because she gave me 2 weeks notice. And she said, well, how much time do you think you'd need? And I thought about it, and I said, probably more like 4 weeks to get it all wrapped up. And she ended up giving me 6 weeks, and I was being fired. But she didn't give it to me right away. What I did was I created a report of everything I was doing and the status, and here's who you call, and here's what we've said, and here's what he said, and here's what I said, and this is what's going on, and I gave it to her. Easy peasy. It's like you documenting your day. I went to first period, math. I went to second period, history. Really not tricky stuff. And I handed it to her because she needs to know. She's the manager, right? And she looked at me and she said, "What? This is way more than I ever expected." And I said, "But this is my job. This is what you hired me to do. Just because I'm going to be gone doesn't mean that I stop doing my job." So be proactive. That manager wound up getting me my next job, recommending me for my next job. Cool, huh? Because she didn't hate me. I don't know why she fired me. I don't think she knows why she fired me. Who cares? All I care is what's going to happen in the future. And in the future, I can use her as a reference. And that counts for a lot. So what else? People who are doing the firing aren't in charge of the decision. Right? Maybe it was the district manager who made the manager fire you. Maybe it's a layoff. Has nothing to do with you. Right? But they're calling it a termination because if they lay you off, then they have to pay you. I mean, there's all this. You never know. You never get to know unless they tell you explicitly to your face, I hate you, you have to go. Don't assume they hate you.